My fiancée said, "Don't ruin my life over a drunk mistake." So I posted her Miami cheating videos in our wedding group. $60,000 down the drain, and she went viral for all the wrong reasons. My name is Ethan. I'm 34, and in 4 weeks I was supposed to be a married man. I can still picture the invitations stacked on my kitchen counter, the glossy cardstock with our names in calligraphy, the tiny RSVP cards waiting to be stamped. Everything had been booked for months. The venue with the string lights and the exposed brick, the caterer who'd promised a tasting menu that would wow everyone, the band the planners swore would keep people on the dance floor until midnight. Between both families, we put down almost $60,000 in deposits. People kept telling us it would be the wedding of the year. For a while, I let myself believe them. Lauren and I had been together 5 years. There were good reasons we'd lasted that long. Comfortable routines, the small rituals that made the relationship feel safe. But she also liked to joke that she could have picked someone better. At first I laughed it off whenever she said it, chalking it up to that sharp, teasing side of her. Later I would think of those lines differently, the way you notice a hairline crack in a plate you've been using for years. Friday night, she flew to Miami with her bridesmaids. She'd been excited about the trip for weeks. Rooftop bars, a beachside brunch, the kind of last girl time before marriage that sounds harmless when you say it out loud. I stayed in Chicago, hanging back with Tyler, my best man, and Tyler's girlfriend, Maddie. We were supposed to be low-key about it. A couple of beers, Call of Duty, the kind of false calm you build when you're pretending not to miss someone who's out celebrating. The apartment was quiet, the TV providing background noise while we played. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Tyler picked it up while I was reloading, his thumbs moving so fast I thought maybe it was work. He read Maddie's text out loud, so I'd hear it. "Tell Ethan to check Snapchat right now. It's blowing up." I remember the way the word blowing hit the room, like a wind that might knock something loose. I told myself to stay calm. Maybe it was a prank, a goofy video from the bridesmaids. Maybe it was nothing. But the tiny unease that had lived in the pit of my stomach for months, little things that hadn't quite fit, flared up in a way I couldn't ignore. Tyler handed me his phone. For a second, I just looked at that glowing screen, the thumbnails of stories cycling like a carousel. Then I tapped Lauren's name, and the world narrowed to a rectangle of light. It wasn't what I expected. The first clip was shaky, filmed by someone else, a rooftop bar that looked like it was full of people who didn't care who watched. Lauren was there, smiling, hair loose, but the camera angle caught her sitting on a man's lap. He wore a bright floral shirt, the kind of pattern you only see at beach bars and tourist traps. They were close. Too close. Then she turned her face toward him and kissed him. It wasn't a quick brush of lips. It was a full kiss. The caption read, "Bride-to-be living her best life, #Miami Nights." Someone laughed in the background. I could hear it through the tiny speaker of my phone, and I felt every laugh like a knot tightening. I kept scrolling. Another video showed them on a crowded dance floor, bodies pressed together, her arms thrown around his neck like she'd forgotten anything else existed. The camera wavered, someone cheering, the music loud enough it nearly drowned out the sound. I looked at Tyler. He was watching me with a look I'd seen him reserve for bad calls in our game, when something had gone wrong and there was no patch to fix it. Then there was a third clip, a lobby, the timestamp in the corner, 2 in the morning. Lauren walking out of a revolving door holding hands with the same guy. A voice off camera, maybe a maid of honor, shouting, "Don't do it, Lauren." The shot was brief, the edges blurred with motion, but the fact remained. The sequence made a shape in my head I couldn't unsee. I sat back on the couch like someone had pushed me. My hands were empty, but somehow they felt heavy. I thought of the calls we'd made choosing centerpieces and playlists, of the timeline taped to the fridge with rehearsal dinner notes. I thought of the way she used to fall asleep on my chest, and the way she said, half joking, that she'd settled. It all shifted, like furniture sliding when the ground moves. Tyler didn't need to say it. He just watched me, jaw tight. Then he said the thing that finally pulled me out of that stunned hush. "Dude, you need to do something." I didn't know what do something meant in that moment. Confront, ignore, wait? The options felt brutal, no matter which way I imagined them. But there's a certain clarity that comes with seeing evidence you weren't meant to see. The doubt that had been patient and muffled turned sharp and loud. I thumbed my phone open, already thinking ahead to what I would do next, though I had no idea how quick the next few hours would become. I opened Snapchat again, not because I wanted to, but because I had to be sure. The first clip had been bad enough, but maybe I'd misread it. Maybe it was one of those angles that tell the wrong story. I kept scrolling, hoping there would be something to soften the blow. Instead, it only got worse. The second video started with someone yelling, "Yes, Lauren," in the background. The camera swung across the dance floor, lights flashing red and blue, bass thudding through the mic. And there she was again, Lauren, but this time it was obvious. She wasn't just dancing near the guy in the floral shirt. She was pressed against him, moving like they'd known each other for more than 5 minutes. Her arms were looped around his neck, his hands on her waist. I could see her laughing, her head thrown back, completely at ease. If you'd shown me this without context, I would have sworn she was a single woman on spring break. I paused the video halfway, turned to Tyler, and asked, "You think maybe it's just," but my voice caught. The truth was already in my throat. Tyler didn't answer, just shook his head slowly. Then came the third video, and this one ripped away whatever benefit of the doubt was left. The scene was quieter, a hotel lobby around 2 a.m. You could hear the hum of elevators and someone's heels clicking across the floor. Lauren came into view, holding the floral shirt guy's hand like they were a couple heading upstairs. Her maid of honor, Jenna, trailed behind them. She sounded half-drunk, but still aware enough to yell, "Don't do it, Lauren." The phone caught Lauren looking back, smiling in this sly, guilty way that hit me harder than the kiss had. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't some misunderstanding. I dropped the phone onto my lap. For a second I just sat there, staring at nothing. My brain felt split in two, one half replaying every good memory we'd shared, the other half burning with the reality of what I'd just seen. Tyler leaned forward. "Dude, she's gone." I didn't answer. My mouth was dry, my chest tight. I thought of the deposits, the guest list, the promises. I thought of my mom, who had been counting down the days. I thought of Lauren's dad shaking my hand the week before, saying he was glad his daughter had finally found someone steady. Tyler tried again. "You need to do something." I don't know why, but that line stuck. Do something. It was simple and brutal and true. Sitting there in shock wasn't going to change what I'd just watched. The only thing left was deciding how to respond. At first I thought about waiting until she got back from Miami, sitting her down, asking for an explanation. But even imagining that felt ridiculous. What explanation could undo what I'd just seen? What could possibly justify kissing another man in public, grinding with him on the dance floor, walking out of a hotel lobby hand in hand while your bridesmaid begged you not to? The idea of just confronting her privately seemed wrong. Because this wasn't just about me. There were nearly 200 people planning to fly, drive, and spend thousands of dollars on an event that, as of that night, had already been torched. If I stayed quiet, they'd still show up. They'd still waste their money. And for what? To celebrate something that wasn't even real anymore? I picked up the phone again, thumb hovering over the screen, replaying the clips just once more to make sure I wasn't insane. Every time, it was clear, Lauren wasn't drunk and lost in the crowd. She was deliberate. She was enjoying herself. Tyler looked at me like he knew exactly what I was thinking. "You gonna call her?" "Not yet," I said. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. Because calling her wasn't the move. The evidence was already out there, posted by her own friends. My choice was whether to keep it contained, a secret war between her and me, or to rip the bandage off for everyone involved. I sat with that thought for a few minutes. Then I knew what I had to do. I opened the videos again, one by one, and this time I didn't just watch, I documented. Screen recordings, screenshots, timestamps, usernames. I wasn't going to let her spin this later into something vague or taken out of context. I wanted a clear record of what really happened. The decision came to me in pieces, but once it settled in, it felt sharp and final. If she could make her choices in public, then the truth could be public too. This wasn't going to stay between the two of us. Too many people were invested, financially, emotionally, personally. Our families had paid tens of thousands in deposits. Friends had booked flights. Co-workers had put the date in their calendars. Keeping it private would just drag everyone along for a lie. I opened the Facebook group we'd made for the wedding. It had close to 200 members. Family, extended relatives, friends, co-workers, even Lauren's old college professor she'd invited. Posts were usually cheerful, updates about the rehearsal dinner, hotel links, dress fittings. Now, staring at that group page, my hands hovered over the keyboard. I typed, "Hey everyone, wedding's off. Check the attachments. Don't waste your money on flights or hotels." Then I uploaded the screenshots. Lauren with floral shirt guy on the rooftop. The kiss. The grinding on the dance floor. The hotel lobby with Jenna shouting in the background. I hit post. For a moment, I just sat there watching the little spinning icon. Then it was done. The words were out. The images visible to everyone. There was no taking it back. I turned my phone off. The room felt strangely quiet, like the air had thinned out. Tyler didn't say much. He just gave me this slow nod, like he understood it was the only move left. We went back to the game half-heartedly, but neither of us really paid attention. My head was buzzing too loud. When I finally turned my phone back on, it was like opening a floodgate. 400 notifications. Messenger, texts, calls, missed FaceTimes, even emails. My mom's name was at the top of the list, followed by a string of question marks. "Ethan, is this real?" Lauren's mom had posted in the group almost immediately after me. Everyone calm down. These videos are clearly fake. Someone's targeting Lauren. This is slander. Her post had comments underneath already. My cousin replied within minutes. Fake. The guy's wearing a 2024 Miami spring break wristband. Those didn't exist back when Lauren was in college. Nice try. That comment blew the door open. Suddenly people were arguing back and forth, some demanding explanations, others already saying they were canceling their plans. Aunts, uncles, co-workers, all weighing in, each with their own version of disbelief or outrage. The chaos was instant and overwhelming. Notifications kept rolling in faster than I could read them. Some people were sympathetic, telling me to stay strong. Others seemed more concerned about the money they'd spent on flights and hotels. And then there were Lauren's relatives, firing off defensive comments, insisting I'd been hacked or that someone had doctored the clips. But it was too late for damage control. The screenshots spoke for themselves. I sat on the edge of the couch, watching the chaos unfold on my screen, half numb and half angry. Tyler muttered, "Well, no one can say you didn't handle it." He was right. I hadn't screamed or called names. I just put the truth in front of everyone and let it sit there. What I didn't realize then, what I couldn't have realized, was how fast things were about to escalate. Because while the group chat was melting down, Lauren herself hadn't even reacted yet. She was still in Miami, probably waking up to her own phone exploding with messages, screenshots, and tags. And when she did respond, it was going to get even uglier. But in that moment, sitting there with Tyler, the only thing I felt was a strange, cold clarity. For the first time in years, I wasn't questioning myself. I wasn't wondering if I was being too sensitive or if her jokes about doing better than me were harmless. No, the truth was right in front of me, and now it was in front of everyone else too. And that truth had already started a wildfire I couldn't put out. The group chat didn't slow down. It was like watching a dam burst and realizing you were standing at the bottom of the valley. Every refresh brought more comments, more fights breaking out between people who only a week ago were comparing hotel deals and dress colors. Some people were furious with me. They said I should have kept it private, that airing dirty laundry online was petty. Others defended me, pointing out how much money people had already spent and how they deserved to know before it was too late. The divide was sharp and messy, like a family argument that spills out in public. And then Lauren started texting me. At first the messages came quick and short. "Ethan, please don't believe this. Those videos are old. That guy was just a friend." Then the tone shifted. "Baby, please, I can explain when I get back. Why would you post this publicly? You're ruining my life." I read that last one twice. Ruining her life? The irony stung. I was at home in Chicago, planning our honeymoon, while she was in Miami making out with a stranger in front of her bridesmaids. And somehow, I was the one ruining things? I didn't reply. Not yet. By morning, half the wedding group had already left. Notifications showed people quietly exiting, some with a final post about canceling their flights. Others stayed, either to watch the drama play out or to argue with Lauren's parents, who were still shouting that the videos were edited and unfair. That's when my phone rang. Lauren's dad. "Ethan," he said, his voice sharp and controlled in that way people use when they're already furious. "You could have handled this privately. Do you have any idea how much money we've put into this wedding?" I pressed the phone tighter to my ear. "Do you have any idea how much your daughter put her tongue into someone else's mouth?" The silence on the other end was heavy. For a second I thought he'd hung up. Then he muttered something about young people making mistakes and cut the line. I set the phone down and rubbed my face. Tyler, who had stayed the night, was sipping coffee in the kitchen. He raised an eyebrow. "That shut him up?" "Yeah," I said, but I could tell it wasn't over. Not even close. Lauren's texts kept piling in, switching back and forth between begging and anger. One minute she was writing paragraphs about how she had too much to drink and didn't mean anything by it. The next, she was demanding I take the post down, accusing me of humiliating her on purpose. I didn't answer, because deep down, I knew this wasn't just a mistake. Mistakes happen once, in a moment of weakness. But she hadn't just kissed the guy, she'd danced with him, laughed with him, left the hotel with him. And most importantly, she'd kept going, even when her maid of honor literally yelled at her to stop. That wasn't a slip-up. That was a choice. By now, the group had become a circus. My uncle chimed in with better to know now than later. One of Lauren's co-workers snapped back, "You don't know the whole story." Someone else pointed out the engraved bracelet on her wrist in the video, the one I'd given her 2 weeks ago with our wedding date etched inside. That detail seemed to kill any argument that the clips were old. And while the comments kept flying, I realized something. I wasn't the one scrambling. For once, I wasn't the one explaining myself. Lauren was. And no matter how many excuses she tried to spit out, None of them could erase what was already burned into people's screens. By the time noon rolled around, I stopped checking the group. My phone was hot from notifications, and honestly, I didn't need to see any more. The damage was already done, and for once, it wasn't mine. But if I thought things would quiet down from there, I was wrong. Because Lauren wasn't done yet. She was just getting started. By the next morning, I thought maybe things would settle, at least for a while. People had already started canceling their flights. The group had quieted down a bit, and I figured Lauren would stay in Miami until her trip was over. But at 8 a.m., my doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Lauren was standing there. Her makeup was smeared, mascara streaked like she hadn't slept. Her hair looked tangled, and she was still wearing the same Bride Squad t-shirt I'd seen in one of the videos. It was wrinkled and stained from the night before, a walking reminder of what I'd watched on my phone. She didn't even wait for me to invite her in. She clasped her hands together and begged. "Ethan, please, it was just a mistake. I was drunk, I wasn't thinking. It didn't mean anything." I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. Funny, because in the videos, it looked like it meant a lot. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. She tried to step inside, but I blocked the way. The tears didn't last long. Within seconds, her tone shifted. "You humiliated me," she snapped. "My friends, my family, even my boss saw those posts. How could you do that to me?" That made me laugh bitterly. "I didn't do anything to you. I just hit share. You're the one who kissed some random guy in Miami." Her jaw clenched. For a second, she looked like she wanted to scream, but she forced herself to soften again. She reached for my hand. "Ethan, I swear it was nothing. Just stupid fun. You know I love you." I pulled my hand back. "Then why were you holding his? Why were you walking out of that hotel with him at 2 in the morning?" She hesitated, then tried another angle. "Those videos were edited. Someone's messing with me, trying to ruin us." I shook my head. "Stop. You were wearing the bracelet I gave you 2 weeks ago. The one with our wedding date engraved inside. It's in every clip." Her face fell. She didn't even try to deny it after that. The silence between us was thick, broken only by the hum of traffic outside. That's when it hit me. She wasn't sorry. Not really. She wasn't standing at my door because she regretted what she'd done. She was here because she got caught, and because the fallout was bigger than she expected. "You know what, Lauren?" I said quietly. "I think you're only upset because it's public now. If no one had posted those videos, you'd still be down there laughing with him." Her eyes hardened. The tears were gone. The pleading was gone. What replaced it was anger, pure and sharp. "You think you're so perfect?" she spat. "You just ruined my life. Everyone thinks I'm trash now because of you." I shook my head slowly. "No. Everyone thinks that because of what you did." She stared at me for a moment longer, her chest rising and falling like she wanted to keep fighting. But then she turned abruptly and stormed down the hall, her shoes slapping against the floor. I closed the door and leaned against it, letting out a long breath I hadn't realized I was holding. My apartment felt both heavier and quieter than it ever had. For a moment, I thought maybe this was the end of it, that she'd go back to Miami, lick her wounds, and things would fade into the background. But I should have known better. Because that morning was only the start. By that afternoon, Lauren was going to take things in a direction I hadn't even imagined. And if I thought her cheating was bad, what came next showed me just how far she was willing to go. When the door slammed shut behind her, I stood there for a long moment, staring at the empty hallway. The adrenaline from the confrontation still buzzed in my veins, but underneath that was a strange calm, the kind that comes when you finally see things for what they are. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd retreat, that she'd spend the rest of her Miami trip pretending none of this happened, then slink home to deal with the fallout quietly. But a few hours later, reality slapped me in the face again. Around noon, my car alarm started blaring in the parking garage beneath my building. I jogged down the stairwell, still groggy from barely sleeping the night before, and froze when I reached my car. Deep scratches ran across the hood, jagged and deliberate. And in big block letters, someone had carved one word into the paint: liar. My chest tightened. I already knew who did it before I even checked the cameras. But I pulled the security footage anyway, and there she was, Lauren. At 3 in the morning, just hours after leaving my apartment, staggering toward my car with her keys in her hand. The grainy footage caught her leaning down, scratching into the hood, then walking off like it was nothing. I filed a police report immediately. Enough was enough. She wanted to play dirty, but I wasn't going to sit quietly while she vandalized my property. The officer who took the report didn't even blink when I told him it was my fiancée. He just nodded like he'd seen it all before. While I was dealing with that, my phone kept lighting up with calls from her parents. At first I ignored them, but eventually I picked up one from her dad. "Ethan, we need to talk reasonably," he said, his voice lower now, like he was trying to bargain. "The wedding's already paid for. We're out $60,000. You should cover half since you canceled." I actually laughed out loud. Canceled? Your daughter canceled the wedding the second she decided to hook up with some Miami random. Why would I pay a dime for that? He bristled immediately. You humiliated her, Ethan. Publicly. Do you understand how damaging that is for her reputation? I gripped the phone tighter. She publicly humiliated herself. I didn't make her kiss another guy. I didn't make her walk out of a hotel lobby at 2 in the morning. I just made sure people knew the truth before they wasted their money. There was silence, then a sharp inhale. If you don't agree to split this, we'll have no choice but to pursue legal action. Legal action? I repeated. For what? Telling the truth. He muttered something about defamation before hanging up. I stood there, shaking my head, a mix of anger and disbelief running through me. They weren't worried about what Lauren had done. They were worried about money, about appearances. And somehow, they expected me to carry their burden. Later that evening, I got another call, this time from my mom. She was still processing everything, her voice wavering between heartbreak and anger. Ethan, you did the right thing. I don't understand how she could do this. We were all so excited. Hearing the disappointment in her tone cut deep. This wasn't just about me and Lauren anymore. It was about everyone who'd been looking forward to that day, everyone who believed in the picture we'd painted. And now, all of it was gone in an instant. I sat on my couch that night, staring at the police report on the coffee table, Lauren's text still popping up on my phone. You went too far. You'll regret this. Just wait. I didn't answer. Because by then, I realized something important. Lauren wasn't spiraling because of me. She was spiraling because she couldn't control the narrative anymore. And if her parents thought legal threats would scare me into silence, they had no idea what was coming next. Because Lauren wasn't done trying to twist the story. She was about to take it online. And that was when things really blew up. A few days later, a letter showed up in my mailbox. Thick envelope, official looking. For a second, I thought maybe her dad had followed through on his threat. I opened it carefully, half expecting court papers. Instead, it was a clumsy attempt at intimidation, a legal notice drafted by her dad's golfing buddy who specialized in real estate, not litigation. The language was vague, full of bluster about emotional distress and damaged reputation. I showed it to a friend of mine from college who actually practices law. He read it once, chuckled, and said, "This isn't worth the paper it's printed on. They're bluffing." I set it aside. If that was their best shot, I wasn't worried. But Lauren wasn't done. If she couldn't spin the story privately, she'd try to do it publicly. She launched a 5-part TikTok series titled, How My Narcissist Fiancé Destroyed My Life. I watched the clips with a mix of disbelief and grim amusement. In the first video, she claimed I canceled our wedding out of nowhere, leaving her devastated. In the second, she insisted the Miami videos were old clips leaked by jealous friends. In the third, she filmed herself crying in her car, saying I'd thrown her out with nothing, and she was basically homeless. The fourth was more dramatic, shaky camera, tears streaming, claiming I'd stolen her happiness. And the fifth was a plea to strangers. Please, if you've ever been through abuse like this, I need your support. For a moment, it worked. Her comments filled with strangers calling me trash, telling her she was so strong. She even gained a few thousand followers overnight. But the internet has a short fuse for lies. Within days, someone on Reddit pulled the original Miami videos and compared them side by side with her claims. They pointed out the engraved bracelet on her wrist, the 2024 date etched inside, the neon drink from a nightclub that didn't even exist until this year. Side-by-side screenshots spread like wildfire. Lauren kissing floral shirt guy, time-stamped and undeniable. Her narrative collapsed in real time. Comments turned brutal. Didn't you literally get caught last weekend? This isn't abuse, this is consequences. People stopped cheering her on and started mocking her. And then came the hammer, floral shirt guy himself. His name was Ryan. He posted on Instagram. For everyone asking, I had no idea she was engaged. She told me she was single. Crazy weekend though. Attached was a photo of him and Lauren at the hotel bar, time-stamped with the exact date. Her TikToks vanished within hours, but it was too late. Screen recordings were everywhere. People DM me saying, dude, your ex is going viral for all the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, she kept burning bridges. She tried demanding refunds from vendors, claiming the wedding was canceled because of Ethan's abuse. The caterer posted publicly. The bride requested her deposit back while accusing us of conspiring with the groom. Completely false. Contract signed in her name. She is solely responsible. The photographer chimed in too, saying she tried to file a chargeback and that they were blacklisting her. Her meltdown bled into every part of her life. She even called my HR department with some bizarre harassment claim. HR pulled me in, explained it, then shrugged. She doesn't even work here. We'll document it, but this is nothing. She tried showing up at my gym one night. yelling that I was stalking her workouts. Problem was, she wasn't even a member. Security escorted her out while everyone stared. One by one, even her friends started distancing themselves. Jenna, her maid of honor, texted me privately. I'm sorry. I tried to stop her that night. She ruined everything herself. The final blow came from Ryan again. Turns out, he was already in a relationship. His girlfriend admitted she'd given him a hall pass for the night because she suspected Lauren would go for it. The girlfriend even commented online, "Best $200 I ever spent on drinks." Watching her implode her own engagement was worth it. That set Lauren off. She lashed out at everyone. Me, Ryan, his girlfriend, her bridesmaids, even her parents. Her mom called me one evening, crying softly. "She's not well," she said. "She keeps saying you ruined her life. Please, Ethan, can't you just forgive her?" I stayed quiet for a moment, then answered, steady. Cheating was the mistake. Everything after, the lies, the vandalism, the lawsuits, the TikToks, those were choices. It's over. 2 months later, here's how it ended. Lauren moved back in with her parents. She's trying to rebrand herself as a healing influencer. Last I checked, she had about 600 followers, most of them trolling her. Her parents are still out nearly 30,000. They tried suing in small claims, but the judge laughed. You want him to pay for your daughter's cheating? Case dismissed. Vendors blacklisted her. The photographer even gained new clients for standing up to her nonsense. My car got fixed. Her insurance had to cover it after the police report. Her premium skyrocketed. And me? I started dating again. There's a woman at my climbing gym named Rachel. She knows the whole story. Sometimes she jokes, "Promise not to make out with strangers in Miami," and we both laugh. A few weeks ago, Lauren sent me one last email. 3,000 words about how I destroyed her reputation. I replied with a single sentence. No, Lauren, you destroyed yourself. I haven't heard from her since. And honestly, good riddance. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.